Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to crack open the Tarot Coach's Toolkit and really dig into a modern, super interesting take on this ancient practice. We'll break down the biggest ideas from the book and see how it completely reframes Tarot, not as a fortune-telling gimmick, but as a seriously powerful tool for self-discovery. So, let's jump right in. So let's start with the million-dollar question, right? The one that hangs over all things Tarot. For a lot of people, it's all about predicting the future. You ask a question, you get an answer about what's going to happen. But what if there's way more to it? What if the cards aren't meant to tell you what will happen, but to help you get a crystal clear picture of what's happening right now? And that is exactly where this book comes in. It totally flips the script. Instead of tarot being this crystal ball you passively look into, it becomes this amazing toolkit for you to actively build your own future. I mean, that's a huge shift, right? From just waiting to see what happens to actually taking part in your own life's journey. So how does that actually work? Well, it all starts with completely rethinking the role of the person reading the cards. The author argues that they're not just a reader, but something much more dynamic, a coach. Now, what's so cool about this is the blend of skills we're talking about. A tarot coach, according to the author, doesn't just interpret cards for you, no way. Instead, they guide a conversation and interactive dialogue using the cards almost like conversation starters to help you tap into your own inner wisdom. The whole point is to create real, actionable steps for your life. It's a total partnership. So why even go this route? Well, the book lays out some really clear benefits. The symbolism in the cards can cut through all the mental clutter and bring you some serious clarity. They basically act like a mirror, which really amps up your self-reflection. And by tapping into your intuition, you're firing up a different part of your brain, which can lead to these awesome creative breakthroughs and, most importantly, a solid plan for moving forward. So what's actually in this toolkit we keep talking about? According to the author, it really boils down to two essential things: the deck of cards itself and that inner voice we all have, your intuition. First up, the cards. A tarot deck has a really neat structure. You've got the 22 major arcana cards. These are the heavy hitters, the big picture stuff. They represent major life lessons and archetypes like the Fool starting a new journey. Then you have the 56 minor arcana cards, which get into the nitty-gritty of our daily lives, our feelings, thoughts, work, and challenges. Put them together and they create this incredibly rich picture of the human experience. But here's the thing. Just knowing the textbook meanings of the cards is only half the battle. The author makes this point over and over, and this quote just says it all. The book meanings are your starting point, for sure, but your intuition, that gut feeling, is what connects the dots. It's the bridge that links a card's universal meaning to a person's very specific situation. It's everything. So, how do you get better at listening to that inner voice? The book gives some fantastic, practical advice. Things like meditation to quiet all that mental noise, journaling to help you recognize patterns when your intuition pipes up, mindfulness to keep you grounded in the here and now, and even creative hobbies to open up new ways of thinking. These aren't some mystical secrets. They're just simple daily practices. Okay, so you've got your cards and you're working on strengthening your intuition. But remember, this is a coaching practice, which means it is all about the human connection. That's the heart of it. This is so important. The author really emphasizes that creating a safe, trusting space for a client is absolutely non-negotiable. And this goes beyond just being friendly. We're talking about professional skills, active listening. We're truly hearing someone, setting clear boundaries so everyone's on the same page, and above all, guaranteeing strict confidentiality. That's what allows someone to feel safe enough to be vulnerable and do that real deep work. And this just nails the whole idea perfectly. The coach isn't the hero of the story. The client is. The coach, using this toolkit we've been talking about, just acts as a guide, maybe a catalyst, holding the space for the client to find their own answers and their own path forward. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks. How does a tarot coaching session actually come together? What does it look like? Turns out, preparation is everything. The book really stresses these 3 steps. First, create a sacred space. This doesn't have to be fancy, just a quiet spot that's intentional and free of distractions. Second, ground and center yourself. A few deep breaths can do wonders. And third, set a clear intention. Why are you here? What's the goal? This focuses the energy of the whole session. So once you're ready, you can use a spread. This 3-card spread is super simple but incredibly powerful. It basically creates an instant story. The first card gives you context from the past. The second shines a light on what's happening right now. And the third, it suggests a potential future or the best path to take. It's a beautiful, simple narrative that can make a really complex situation feel so much clearer. And finally, the author wraps everything up with a topic that is absolutely crucial. Because when you're acting as a guide for other people, that comes with a whole lot of responsibility. This is so important to get right. This is a professional practice, and a strong ethical foundation is everything. The book lays out these core rules: absolute confidentiality, using supportive, non-judgmental language, and being upfront about the limitations of Tarot. It's a guide for self-reflection, not a substitute for a doctor or a lawyer. And knowing when to refer a client to another professional isn't a failure. It's the mark of a truly ethical and integral coach. So after diving into the Tarot Coach's Toolkit, we can really see Tarot in a whole new light. It stops being about giving your power away to some cards to predict your fate. Instead, it's about using those cards as a tool to reclaim your own power by deeply understanding your present. It's a mirror for the wisdom you already have inside you. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. If you held that mirror up to your life right now, what question would you ask?